I think the biggest thing is just take one small step. Like from this message, just there are so many things that we talked about, and everybody's in a different place. All of the listeners you're in, maybe you're just now entertaining this topic. Maybe you've been on this for a long time and you're looking for someone to help you. Like wherever you are today, just kind of tune into that and take the next step. Here's the thing. We get one life. Like literally, we don't think about that. We take all of that for granted. We're like, oh, we'll do it later. We'll do this. I watch people every single day that wish they would have tuned in their 20s and their 30s and even their 40s and 50s. I'm working with people in their 70s that are getting their life back and saying, I feel better than I did when I was 30. Like, why are we waiting to 70? Please tell me. Please tell me why we can invest in an iPhone and vacations and, this beautiful home and cars. And like, that's an investment to us, but our health is not. So I want to shift your perspective today. And I want to invite you in to that space to just have a conversation with yourself and say, why are those things my priority? And I, the person that I have to live with every single day, am not.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I have a viral sensation. We're going to talk about this, but Chelsie Ward is with me today. Chelsie is here. She helps people live a healthier life, and she gives you all of the details. She's doing really good on social media. She has a book. She's got everything, and we have her here with us. What a great combo. Hi, good morning. How are you?
Hi, David. Good morning. It's so good to be with you today.
So from Canada to Texas, we've made this connection, and I'm really happy to get back again and talk. We've chatted once already, and now we get to bring everybody in on the conversation. So can you introduce yourself to our audience? Tell them a little about you, and then we're going to jump into a little bit of social media, I think, this morning.
Of course. So I'll start with my own journey. And that's that when I was a child, my grandmother looked at me one day and she said, girl, you get everything that runs down this family line. And she was talking about all the health issues that I was experiencing, even as a child. I was born with colic and digestive issues that continued in my life for about 30 years. And I had hormonal imbalances that started at a very young age, started my cycle at age 11, and then was put on birth control by the time I was 12 years old. And that continued for about 15 years. I went into like a medically induced perimenopausal state and was able to pull myself out of that using natural therapies. And when I was in nursing school, I ended up getting a medical injury there as well. And I kind of started looking at that point for alternatives, like how can I heal my body, looking at my patients and saying, hey, they're exactly the same situation that I'm in. And that's that they're looking for medication and surgery as their way out. But I just had this deeper belief that that wasn't true. That wasn't the case. And what I found is that I was absolutely right. And using food as medicine, using the things that were put on this earth, I was able to heal my body naturally. And that's exactly what I do. I went back. Yes, I'm a registered nurse, but I'm trained in functional diagnostic nutrition. I'm a spiritual healer. And I've studied applied behavior analysis to really create whole body healing protocols to give people the tools that they need to obtain health and keep it for the rest of their life.
Wow. So like what a journey, like growing up to be 11, 12 years old and to be dealing with some of these things is just like you're a kid. You're supposed to be living life as a kid, not dealing with stuff like this. So like, this has to be a journey that has been very difficult for you to work through and to learn. But I love that you're taking knowledge and a very balanced approach to finding health. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a really big journey. But what I found on my own journey is that we start looking for the answer in one thing and it doesn't work. So we move on to the next. So for example, we may try traditional medicine and medication and surgery and all the things. And they may like cover things up with a Band-Aid for a little bit, but they never give us the full answer. They're never addressing the root. And sometimes the truth is that the root is not going to be corrected by medicine. I think that there's so many different complexities that go into it because we're humans, we're emotional beings, we're spiritual beings, we are physical beings. We have all of these different areas where we need to work on if we want to find true healing and wholeness. And that's what I like to call it, as wholeness, mind, body, and spirit approach to healing and health. And when we combine all three, then we really can create the healthiest version of ourselves so that we can live and make the impact that we're here to make.
So, okay. So you definitely have a message, and your message is now through the book. We'll talk about that today, but also through social media. You're sharing a message, and it's hitting. I was going through your Instagram before we went on today, and great videos, and I love all the music and pointing and all the stuff and all the stuff you're sharing. That's really amazing. And you're just talking before we hit record that TikTok, you've had some really great traction on TikTok as well. Can you share the contents a little bit about what you shared on TikTok and maybe some of the results of that one TikTok you talked about that went viral? That's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. It's been a very fun experience, and I love getting the messages from everyone, just asking for, hey, what is this about? What can I do for myself personally to help resolve some of these health issues naturally? And I believe that Hippocrates said it really well, that all disease begins in the gut. And I actually created an entire methodology around this. My method is called the Go With Your Gut method. And it has two sides to that story. And that's go with your gut, meaning digestion, nutrition, stress reduction, so that we can really make sure the gut is healthy. That's one side of the story. But the other side of the story is really learning to tune into your body so that you can give it what it needs at any given time, so that it'll give you what you want in return. So there's two sides to go with your gut. And I really just share a lot about that on social media from a natural perspective. I believe that if we go back to the way our ancestors lived and we start focusing on whole foods, meats, fruits, vegetables, the ones that we are actually created to eat, food has a message and it carries that message into our cells. When we're putting processed foods in, then we're not getting the same message as we are from the food if we're eating real whole food. Unfortunately, we've turned into a fast food nation, and that doesn't mean going through the drive-through necessarily. That means protein bars and, little sticks that we can get off the shelf, and we're using those and crackers and all that for food. And then we're eating a lot of these packaged meals and we're calling it food and we're getting sick. So I'm sharing that message on social media right now, and it's just about the symptoms that we're dealing with every day. Things like gas, bloating, constipation, irritable bowel. A lot of people, they spend a lot of their time focusing on where's the nearest bathroom. Oh, I can't go to that social outing because I'm too embarrassed. I may have a digestive issue.
Yeah.
And women going through early menopause, kind of like I did myself, So I'm just sharing natural ways that you can resolve these things. And if you use the tips and tools and they don't fully repair things for you, that might mean that there's something a little bit deeper going on. And that's when you would reach out to a professional like myself so that we could help you dive in a little bit deeper, peel back the layer of the onion until we figure out exactly what your root cause is so that you can heal.
So, okay, can we share with the audience today maybe like a universal truth for anyone listening for simple gut health as a starting point? Because maybe we have a long journey or a specific journey that we need to focus on. But is there some just basic things that we can start with today that can improve our situation?
One of the things I love to start with is nutrition.
Okay.
And I believe that it's one of the most impactful things that we can do in our own health, because if we think about the body and some of the things taking place on, like, from a digestive standpoint, if we're mixing certain foods together, they can cause fermentation in the gut, right? Okay. So if we're eating, a lot of people are going to tend to go toward a fast, quick meal for breakfast, just get something down so I can go. And one of the mistakes I see is oatmeal with fruit in it. Well, a lot of times, especially if you already have a compromised digestive system, eating oatmeal or a grain-based food with fruit can actually cause fermentation in the gut. So you're also imbalancing your blood sugar very early in the morning. You're giving your body loads of sugar. You don't think about it as sugar. You're not pouring sugar on your oatmeal, but the impact in your body is the same. So we're eating those foods and they're high in sugar to the body. And then it causes cravings later in the day. It causes us to crash after that meal goes away because our blood sugar can take a dip. And it just causes, sometimes people are reacting to the oats. A lot of people react to those grains and they don't know it. So it just causes the digestive upset. So I have created a guide, and it kind of it's a pretty complex nutrition plan, I guess, to start. But it really, what I love doing first is just giving people a list of foods that they can look at. And if you download the guide and you do nothing else but focus your meals on those foods for, a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, like literally eat nothing else, you're going to learn so much about your digestive system. For those who are a little bit more advanced and they've been doing this for a while and they're like, Chelsie, I've already tried whole foods. None of that worked for me. I've given up gluten. I've given up dairy. I've given up all the things that you say can be inflammatory. Then your next step is going to be on page 2 of the guide. You're going to start learning to balance your meals appropriately with the right amounts of carbs, fats, and proteins for your body uniquely. And I teach you how to do that in the guide, because a lot of times we have to think about how the body works from a genetic standpoint. Like if our ancestors were of Spanish descent, living on mostly carbs, we may need a little bit more carbs to thrive. Okay. Where if we're from, our heritage is from maybe Alaska, where they didn't have a lot of those things. They're living on mostly meats, roots, and tubers, those types of things. Then we may have those same needs in our body. Yeah. We also have to think about the complexities that come in with certain disease processes. If someone has adrenal issues or thyroid issues, maybe they have other issues like blood sugar imbalances. Depending on the type of health issues, like you're going to need more carbs and things to support a thyroid condition. You need that for energy. It helps your metabolism. Where if you have a blood sugar imbalance, a lot of times more fat and protein can really benefit you. So there's a quiz that I usually give to people. And in the guide, it tells you exactly how to balance your plate so that according to the quiz, you feel your best. What that's going to do is it's going to start to repair your digestive system. It's going to start to balance your blood sugars naturally, helps you get rid of cravings and uncertainty in what to eat, right? Because you have the food list. Now you know how to eat it, the right portions and things like that. And then I would say, if you feel like those are things you've already tried, or you kind of like, I've done, I'm at the end of my nutrition rope, then I think the next step is really just connecting with someone that can really help you walk through this and decide, is this really even a nutrition issue? I mean, truly, if you're eating all the right foods, there's food sensitivity testing. There is testing so that we can look inside the digestive system. Is there infection? Is there chronic inflammation? Are there other imbalances that we need to work on so that we can truly heal the body?
Amazing. Okay. That's so much amazing information right there. Like, I hope everybody's listening and taking notes, because this is really good. Can you talk a little bit now, let's switch gears to the book. Tell me a little bit about the reason and the why behind the book, and maybe a little bit of the feedback you've had from people who have followed the book and are putting the book into practice.
I never really intended to tell this story. I knew as a nurse that people needed the information. And I always imagined that I would be able to help in some way to get this information out. And I remember meeting several people just along my life over a short period of time, maybe 1 year. And they were like, you have an amazing story. You're going to write a book. And I was just like, I had no idea what they were talking about. And I won a CD. It's called Release the Writer Within. It's by Wendy K. Walters. She ended up being my publisher. And I was like, okay, I guess maybe I really am writing a book, right? So I ended up listening to the CD and it's almost like a download. I couldn't even stop the information. I sat down, I outlined the book, today's medicine, where we've gone wrong, food and nutrition, alternative healing therapies, finding freedom through detox and movement, heedful living with ease to get rid of stress reduction, self and spiritual awareness. I mean, all those things. These are topics in the book. They began to flow into me. And I realized that this was my way to get the message out to other people, truly, by telling my story, what I had experienced, even as a medical professional. Hey, I'm a medical professional. I never could figure it out either. It's okay. You are not alone. We are in this together. I've gained some knowledge that I think may be able to help you. And that was really the reason for writing the book. And once it was published, I started having people reach out to me and say, Chelsie, I need your help. Like, I need you to tell me exactly what you did to do this. I would have other people reach out to me and say, thank you for writing this book. I literally had the courage for the first time to really hire someone to help me walk through this. Or, hey, Chelsie, I've been reading your book and I've followed it step by step. Every single thing that you recommended we do in the book, I've started implementing those things in my life and I've never felt better. And the messages kept coming. And I honestly I had my behavior analysis background. I had studied to be a nurse. I was, working to become a spiritual healer, all those things, but I didn't really have all the tools I needed to be able to help someone walk through that step by step. So I went back to school and I got additional training. And that's when I started studying functional diagnostic nutrition. I got certified in functional medicine. And it was really to help people by giving them that step-by-step plan. Now I can do, lab testing when needed. Now I can do, now I've built this proprietary process around, my method and really created something that's it's very personalized to each person, but it's something that is showing amazing results every time that it's implemented. So I think people are just really able to meet themselves where they are. Is it information in the book? A lot of my followers are self-healers. I know I was a self-healer for a long time, and that's because I couldn't find someone to partner with. And David, if I have to be honest, it's the reason I'm sitting here right now before you. And that's because I thought this is not fair. It's not fair for me to have the knowledge and the understanding of this and not help people, because I remember sitting on the other side saying, if there was only someone who could take me from A to Z to help me get to where I want to go, like I would pay any amount of money. I would do anything they said. I was in that place of desperation where I was willing to do anything to get there.
Wow. Yeah. So that's amazing right there. That's to be able to offer that and to be able to give that kind of assistance to people. That's amazing. Tell me a little bit more then about just the contents of the book. How is somebody reading this book when they pick this up? How are they going to feel helped? How are they going to feel served by going through the book?
So there are some controversial topics in there because we have beliefs, and here's what I would say: grab a pen and a highlighter and highlight the things that you really want to learn more about and know and dive into deeper, and just start creating yourself a checklist. Okay. Some of the topics are talking about today's medicine and where I feel like we've gone wrong. And I speak to that from my nursing background and from being in the medical industry, from taking care of patients who were not getting well, where today I have a different lens on. I have a new pair of glasses. I'm looking at this from a different lens, like, oh man, if that patient only had this information, if they knew how simple and basic it could be to really walk through and maybe even come off of medications, maybe even, get rid of some of the symptoms they were experiencing. There's a really deep dive into nutrition. I made a post today about the food pyramid. And if you're living by the food pyramid, it's very outdated and you're bound to get sick. The problem is they're still teaching the food pyramid in medical schools, in nutrition schools. It's very, very scary.
Yeah.
And we're being told to live off of 11 servings of grains and breads and pastas and things like that. And it's some of the most inflammatory foods. So I really go into that in the book. I talk about the inflammatory foods, the foods that are really keeping us sick. Is organic important? What does it mean? What is the difference between genetically modified food, organic food? Is it even important? I go into alternative therapies and what does that look like if someone were to work through an alternative therapy healing protocol, and work with a practitioner or just, do things like massage or just chiropractics, things like that we have almost like poo-pooed for a long time. And I go into some of those touch therapies and how important they are for the human body and for connection and things like that. I talk a lot about relationships and just caring for yourself, reducing stress in your life, because when we talk about root cause medicine, it's not about doing a lab test, finding a certain type of bacteria, going in and assaulting the entire digestive system with a rifle to knock everything out and then replenish it with good, healthy bacteria.
Yeah.
Like that's what a lot of people think. Alternative practitioners that are practicing in that way are using an outdated method. Again, it's more about how do we train the body to be in a state of rest, even when there's a stressful situation going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we don't think about the fact that the root cause of our problem may not be an infection. It may not be that where does leaky gut come from? Where do cardiovascular issues come from? Yes, nutrition can play a role. But the other side of that is that we are emotional beings.
Yep.
We have relationships,
yep.
Toxic relationships, exactly. The inability to set boundaries with people and situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Women especially go and do, and they never slow down, and they're constantly giving to their family. They're doing for, their community. They're doing all these things just to try to keep up. They're holding multiple jobs. They're allowing their children to be in multiple sports at one time, and they're just running themselves ragged.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those things are impacting our health in a negative way. So I go into a lot of that, and just remind people that we can live from a state of ease and calm. And those are things I kind of go into deeper in programs and things like that. But even things in the book that say, hey, slow down before you eat a meal. When you're trying to digest your food, but you're multitasking on your computer at work, or you're on the phone, or you're thinking about a million things, or you're standing up, feeding a baby, like your digestive system is actually shut down because you're in that fight or flight response. When you're in that state, digestion shuts down, your reproductive system shuts down, your brain kind of goes into like a different zone, right? Yeah. We're in a place where our body is more focused on getting away from danger. So if we think about our ancestors, they were maybe running from a tiger, and we're not running from a tiger necessarily, but our body operates in the same way. So when we're in that state of stress, our blood is rushed to our extremities, and it's in places where we can have the power to escape and run and go and do and be. And the do part of our brain just turns on, where the thinking part of our brain turns off. So people come and they say, I have brain fog, I have infertility, I have, I can't digest my food, I always have indigestion. all of these are signs that you're operating from that state of fight or flight. So that's the importance of the section in the book that talks about a state of rest and really learning how to enter into that state of rest. Even if you're just pausing for a few deep breaths before you have a meal, that is helping your nervous system calm down so that your blood is shunted back to your digestive system where it is needed so that you can absorb your nutrients better. You can digest your food without getting indigestion. You're slowing down enough to chew your food and swallow it instead of chewing, 3 times, 5 times, and then swallowing it whole and expecting your digestive system to do the work for you. So a lot of those things are there. And then I really talk a lot about self-awareness and spiritual awareness. And it's a huge piece that isn't really covered in most health programs, and it's really learning that we can tune in to the very basic parts of ourselves so that we know what to do in any given moment to give our body what it needs. Like, I believe that we are getting messages all day long, and we have to choose which ones we want to tune into. And so often we're taught that we don't have to really tune into, or I guess it's more that we lose the intuition. We lose the ability to tune into ourselves and what we truly want. Because again, it's back to the mom who's busy with the kids. It's back to, I'm a people pleaser, so I don't set clear boundaries. It's back to all of those different things. Our childhood tendencies where mom says, it's time to eat. You got to eat now. Now we don't know how to tune into our own body when our body even says, I'm hungry. We just eat at certain times during the day. We're shoving things in at lunchtime because we're supposed to eat. And, we lose the ability to kind of tune in and become self-aware. So I talk a little bit about that and just learning to trust your body, trust your mind, trust your intuition. And people kind of get nervous about that because it's like, how do I do that? We're so far removed from being able to trust our intuition that it's something that people have to relearn,
Mm-hmm.
So that's another big piece of it as well. So it kind of touches everything from a mind, body, spirit perspective to just give people a feel. And I usually say, you're not going to agree with everything an author writes about, but it's just like any other book, grab what you do appreciate and love and apply it to your life. And you can literally transform just by reading the book.
As you're talking about, slowing down when you eat and everything, I'm just thinking of the family meal, sitting around the table. Everybody is there together. We're eating together at the same time. It's relaxed. We're all kind of doing life together compared to how we're today, where it's just on the go, convenience. I got a meeting. I got to go. I got a sports event. I got to get the kids here and there. And we're just constantly going all the time. And I just see the difference, even just in that little bit of how just taking the time for yourself, taking your time to have routine, taking your time to slow down, focus on your health, and you will see the results. And I think that's just the one thing that maybe we've really lost touch with is we're just so driven from the moment our feet hit the floor, we just go, 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 go. So if we can heal ourselves and do better in life just by following some very practical steps, we're going to see results. That's amazing. Any final thoughts as we kind of close off today? So much information and so much practical things that we can put into place. I'm really enjoying this. How do we close off today? What would you like to share as your message?
I think the biggest thing is just take one small step. Like from this message, just there are so many things that we talked about, and everybody's in a different place. All of the listeners maybe you're just now entertaining this topic. Maybe you've been on this for a long time and you're looking for someone to help you. Like wherever you are today, just kind of tune into that and take the next step. Here's the thing. We get one life. Yeah. Like literally, we don't think about that. We take all of that for granted. We're like, oh, we'll do it later. We'll do this. I watch people every single day that wish they would have tuned in their 20s and their 30s and even their 40s and 50s. I'm working with people in their 70s that are getting their life back and saying, I feel better than I did when I was 30. Like, why are we waiting to 70? Please tell me. Please tell me why we can invest in an iPhone and vacations and, this beautiful home and cars. And like, that's an investment to us, but our health is not. So I want to shift your perspective today. And I want to invite you in to that space to just have a conversation with yourself and say, why are those things my priority? And I, the person that I have to live with every single day, am not. So
there it is right there. If you want to enjoy all these great things, which you value in life, your family, all those great things that you surround yourself with, you better show up. And this is going to help you. Healed His Way. Chelsie Ward is on the podcast. Thank you so much, Chelsie, for being a part of this. How do people connect with you? How do we do this?
So chelsieward.com, CHELSIEWARD. And you can also follow me on any of my social media platforms, YouTube, I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and it's Chelsie Ward Wellness across the board. And Healed His Way is available on my website. You can see a link to both purchase from me for a signed copy or either on Amazon.
Go get the signed copy. This is Chelsie Ward. You got to get a signed copy. Come on. Don't go with the other ones. Chelsie, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. I love how you present your topic, how you present the heart and passion behind us living a healthier life. Thank you for doing this. There's so much we can learn. There's so much more we can learn. And I really encourage people to connect with you and to start following along on the journey, because you're providing so much great content for people. And you can tell that it's coming from a place of service and just a desire for people to live healthier. It's very amazing and very inspirational. Thank you for sharing today.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Hey guys, thank you for listening to the podcast. Jump over to livingthenextchapter.com, our website, and you will see a spot where you can leave a voice message. We'd love to hear your feedback. We're trying to make it as easy as possible to hear from you. So if you want your voice on this podcast, yes, that's possible. Go to livingthenextchapter.com, click the little microphone icon, leave a voice message. We'll insert your message into the podcast. Tell us where you're listening from. Tell us your favorite guest. Maybe there's a guest we should have on the podcast. Maybe you should be our next guest. Leave us a message. livingthenextchapter.com. Again, thank you so much for listening. Please share this podcast episode with one person. That's all we're asking. Meet you over there at livingthenextchapter.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Love to hear from you. Till the next episode. It's coming up right away. Be sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you for being part of Living the Next Chapter. Thank you for supporting our guests. Great day.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation, not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.